Welcome to the next Foxhole tutorial video. My name is Sigmothic and I'll be your instructor today. In this video you will be learning about the functions of bases. Bases are a core part of the Foxhole game, as they allow you to set your spawn, gather equipment, be able to upgrade them, and other various mechanics. For this video I will only be covering the basics. More advanced mechanics will be covered in a much later video as part of an advanced training for topics of constructing bunker bases. This video will be done in the home region. So, if you wish to follow along in the game to get some hands-on experience, you can do so. For Warden players, you want to go to this location. And for Colonial players, you will go to this location in your home region. To access the base, you'll simply run up to it and you will hit the E key. Here we have the user interface of the base itself. For this video, I'm only going to cover the basics, so I'm not going to cover everything. Two things I will note quickly will be the base inventory, which is indicated by this section here, and the soldier's backpack. The base inventory is a temporary storage, or basically a transfer station for items to go into the stockpile. The backpack is what the player is currently carrying in their backpack. The first thing you always want to do when you come to the base that you want to actively use is to set your spawn. You do so down here in the actions bar with this house icon. Typically this will be flashing orange, indicating that your spawn has not been set yet. To assign your spawn, you simply click on this button. And as you can see, my spawn has now been set. It is recommended that you click this button a few times, because sometimes there might be an issue with the game, such as a server lag or any other problem, that your spawn may not be properly assigned. You can have two spawns set at the same time, a home base and a frontline base. A home base can be a town hall, a relic base, and a border base. A frontline base will be a bunker base, an encampment, or a safe house. To show an example, I have set my spawn on two different bases. This flag right here is a town hall, which is my home base. The flag also represents that this is a victory point condition in order for a faction to win the war. My frontline base is currently this safe house right here. Because I have a home base and a frontline base set as my spawn, whenever I die, I have the ability to choose on which base I would like to respawn on, and I'll demonstrate that for you. I have now died. So in order for me to respawn, I'll come up here and I'll click the spawn button. In this case, my options will be to be able to spawn onto the town base, which is my home base, or I can go back to the home region. Alternatively, I can hit Abandon War and that'll take me back to the login screen of the game. Now, although I have my safe house set as my forward spawn, I am unable to spawn on it because it had 0 supplies. Supplies is referring to soldier supplies, which will be explained here in a few minutes in the video. But for this example, I will respawn back on the town base. And here I have respawned. Remember, you can only have one spawn set for your home base and one spawn set for your forward base. If I were to run to this town hall and set my spawn, whenever I died and select it to respawn, I will respawn here and not the one with the flag icon. The next button we're going to look at real quickly is this button right next to the house icon with the box with an up arrow. This is to submit stockpile items. Essentially, anything that's in the inventory of the base will go into the stockpile by clicking this button, as for example with this. The submit stockpile button is something that you may use periodically, as the inventory only has a limited number of slots, 15. So about 15 items can be stored up there, some can be stacked, but it'll quickly fill up. If you ever need to remove some from your backpack or drop some off at the base itself, you will have to submit those items in order to fill up the inventory again. The last button we're going to quickly take a look at is this hammer icon with the up arrow. the Submit Starter Kit. Your starter kit is your hammer, your pistol, and your 2 magazines for your pistol. You get this every time you log into the game, every time you deploy onto the map itself, and every time you respawn. For the most part, you won't need these items all the time, and they'll just add weight to your character. Weight will be explained later on in the rifle course, but you can quickly drop these items into the stockpile of the base by simply clicking this button as I do here. Now we're going to look at the stockpile of the base. The stockpile is where items and equipment will be stored in that base itself and where you will get your equipment for whatever you need. For example, I need a pistol and some ammunition. In order to get that, I simply click on the item I need. So the pistol and some ammunition for my pistol. Now, as you notice, when I pulled that piece of equipment, there was an assembly time. The assembly time is the time it takes for my character in order to get that piece of equipment. Assembly time is not universal and can be longer depending on the piece of equipment I want to pull. As for example, the binoculars, which is much longer to get than the pistol and 2 magazines. This is because its value is higher. Value is being used as a loose term here. It's not referring to the actual cost and production of an item, but more to its versatility on the battlefield, how effective it can be, and many other different aspects. It can also be referred to as cost and production, but that's not the sole determining reason on why it takes so long to pull it. To further demonstrate on pulling equipment, I've come to this base here. Now, for example, in this case, I am acting as an infantry squad leader and I need to pull an infantry kit and some utilities to enable me to be as a squad leader. So basically, my equipment loadout when I'm a squad leader is to first set my spawn, which I have already done, submit my starter kit because I don't need those items, and then I'll click on the weapons I need. So I'll need a submachine gun, some ammunition for my submachine gun. I'll filter through what I need. I'll need a bandage. I'll need a gas mask, a filter, and I'll also need radios and binoculars. But instead of wasting time on pulling those, there's already some here in the inventory, so I can simply click on these and not have to wait for the assembly time to be completed. Now, there are 2 types of items that you never want to take out of a base. The first item is called soldier supplies, or what we refer to in-game as shirts, which is this icon right here. As you can see in the description, the soldier supplies are the spawn tickets of the base. They are required for players to be able to respawn on that base. If a base runs out of shirts, you can no longer respawn on it. The second item is called maintenance supplies, or known as MSUPs in-game, which is indicated by a canteen icon. To quickly show what it looks like, you can select through different tabs to filter out certain types of items you want to look for. For example, I need to click on this icon here, and by scrolling down, I can see the maintenance supplies, or the MSUPs. As you can tell by the description of this item, it helps prevent the base from decaying. Essentially, if a base does not have maintenance supplies in it, it will decay over time. The structures will take damage on its own and simply collapse and no longer usable, where a player will have to come back and rebuild everything or repair everything. These 2 items should always stay inside of a base: the maintenance supplies and the shirts. You do not need to carry them with you at all, especially as a soldier on the front line. The only time these items should be transported is when they've been produced at a logistics facility and then moved to a base for them to be used. The final thing we're going to look at is the base upgrades. Base upgrades is a feature that can improve the base's performance on the front line or whatever purpose a player may have for it. As for example, this upgrade line. These upgrades are what are called garrisons, and garrisons offer different features to them for every tier of upgrade they get. As for example, provincial garrisons. When provincial garrisons are locked, when 10 players have their spawns assigned to that base, they will activate AI defenses, meaning these defenses will shoot back at enemy players automatically. If they manage to upgrade to the second line, AI defenses become permanently activated and no longer need players to have their spawn assigned to that base. And it also activates the use of MSUs, meaning that base can now maintain itself as long as maintenance supplies are within it. If they are able to upgrade to the final third tier, the cost of maintenance supplies in order to maintain the base is reduced. But that will be explained during the bunker construction video at a much later time. Now, there are many different types of mechanics that go into the upgrade of a base itself, specifically to the speed at which an upgrade is done. But for the purpose of keeping to the basic mechanics of this video, I will only talk about on how you can easily contribute to the upgrades. In order to help upgrade a base, you will come up to it and make sure you assign your spawn point to it. Then, once your spawn is assigned to it, you simply click on what upgrade you want done. This will activate a green check mark. You're essentially voting democratically for that upgrade to be done first. To further show on what upgrades a base can have, I've come to this bunker base as a quick example. Just like before, I'll assign my spawn, as I have now done, and I'll vote for which upgrade needs to be done. This base pretty much already has all the upgrades unlocked, but I can come here and assist this base. This is an outdated image of base upgrades, but for the purpose of example, you can see that different kinds of bases offer different kinds of upgrades, such as defenses, industry, and many other elements that increases the ability the base can provide. So by assisting with the upgrades of that base, you are enhancing its capabilities. This marks the end for our tutorial on the basic base mechanics. In our next video, we'll be undergoing the beginning of the infantry combat training. Specifically, we'll be going through the rifle course and you'll be learning the basic mechanics on how to actually use a weapon properly in the game. Until then, I'll see you on the front lines.